Hey guys, Breezy CPA here, your certified public accountant, and in this video, we're going to be talking about why smart people fail exams. As a professional CPA instructor, I see very smart students all the time who struggle to pass exams. Maybe this is you. You're looking over at Joe Schmo. He can barely cross the street without tripping over both legs. He's passing his exams. You're looking over at Becky. She's doing her makeup and making TikTok videos. She's passing her exams no problem. Meanwhile, you're trying everything under the sun to try and pass your exams, and you keep failing over and over again. So in this video, we're going to go over why that is, and I'll give you some tips and tricks to help you pass your exams. So make sure you watch all the way to the end so that you don't miss anything important. Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, I'm going to take some weight off of your shoulders. It's not your fault. We haven't been taught to take exams. We've been given exams our whole lives, from first grade spelling tests to middle school, high school, college, SAT exams, final exams for almost every class that you've ever taken. Just think of how many exams that you've taken over the course of your life. Even the DMV requires you to take an exam in order to get your driver's license. But besides giving you a book and telling you to read and memorize the material, how many teachers have actually taught you how to take an exam? Weird, don't you think? Number two, personality type matters. Tests are standardized, but people are not. I'm going to repeat this. Tests are standardized, but people are not. Some people are very carefree, they're easygoing, they're flexible, they go with the flow, easy peasy lemon squeezy, water off a duck's back. They take an exam and it's like a stroll in the park for them. Within the hour, they're at Starbucks getting a coffee without a worry in the world, right? Others are analytical, they're anxious, they're detail oriented, they're OCD, they stress about the little things. They're deep thinkers. So for the next 3 days, they're thinking about whether or not they answered correctly on question number 3 and whether or not they wrote out the right answer. So they can't even sleep because of that. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. So knowing yourself, knowing your personality type will help you study smarter according to who you are as an individual so that you can focus on your strengths and you can work on your weaknesses. Number 3, underestimating the exam. So just like underestimating your opponent in any professional one-on-one sport, boxing, tennis, chess, it's you against the exam. The exam is your opponent, and either you're going to win or the exam is going to beat you. Just like if you're preparing for a match, you need to know your own strengths and weaknesses with the material, and you need to anticipate how your opponent is going to try to play you. So remember that the CPA exam is meant to be the ultimate test of your knowledge. So, like any real opponent, it's not going to take it easy on you. In fact, most likely, it's going to try and exploit your weaknesses. So, you need to be prepared to fight back. Number 4, time management. The CPA exam is a race against the clock. It's made to test both your endurance and your speed. At 4 hours long for each section, it's a mental marathon of endurance. However, you only get 1.5 to 2 minutes to answer each question. You have to be both a supreme marathon runner and an elite sprinter at the same time. So, put this in perspective, a professional marathon runner can finish a marathon. Someone like Eliud Kipchoge can finish a marathon in 2 hours. So you're sitting there for 4 hours. It's basically like running 2 marathons, running one marathon and then running another marathon back to back. So instead of a physical marathon, think about it like you're running a mental marathon. So what you need to understand here is that the strategy and knowing your personality comes in huge. If you're a super analytical person, you might tend to linger too long on certain questions. If you're more of an intuitive person, you may pick a response too quickly, going with your gut and not thinking too much and rushing through your answers. So the idea is that you want a balance of both. Going back to why smart people fail the CPA exam, I found that with my students, that analytical minds struggle more with the CPA exam because there's never enough time for them. Whereas if you're an intuitive person, you might be able to finish the exam with time to spare, but one is significantly worse than the other. An intuitive person will at least get through all the questions on the exam, whereas a super analytical person will not get through all the questions and they'll drain their battery sitting and focusing on a couple of particular questions that they're struggling with. So they'll get flustered, they'll be in a time crunch, and they won't even be able to answer the simple questions that they probably would have gotten right had they had enough time to get to them. So the idea for the CPA exam is that if you get stuck on a question, move on, come back to it later if you have time. The worst thing that you can do on the exam is drain your mental energy on one question. Get flustered and have to rush through the rest of the exam, potentially missing easy questions because you're flustered and you're in a time crunch and you don't have time to read through them. So, if you finish the exam too quickly, you can go back and make sure that you didn't miss anything important. The most effective study strategy for managing your time on the exam is practice. You need to practice to make sure that you're answering the questions in the appropriate amount of time and giving yourself sufficient and adequate time at the end to make sure that you've gotten through all of the material on the exam. Number 5, studying what you already know. I see this way too often with students. We all like to play to our strengths, and it's easy and it feels good to be right. So, students often gravitate towards areas that they already know, like financial accounting or auditing. Why do they do that? Because it feels good to get the right answers when you're practicing for your exams. But the thing is, you're only tricking yourself into a false sense of security. Guess what's going to show up on the exams? The hard stuff, the stuff that you didn't feel like studying. So students will avoid the areas that they struggle with, things like business law, governmental accounting, and they might even ignore the practice tests, thinking that they'll be fine when the real thing comes. But they're in for a reality check if you don't focus not only on the things that you're comfortable with and that are easy for you, but the things that are hard for you as well. Number 6, life gets in the way. So life has a twisted way of springing things on you when you least expect it. You need to prepare yourself for the unexpected. We all have jobs, we have families, we have kids, we have relationships. And if you're not careful, those distractions can chip away at your consistency with your studying. Also, the day before the exam or the week before the exam, your kid can get sick. You can get sick. Your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you. I'll give you a personal example. When I was going in to take my exam one day, my car wouldn't start. My battery was dead. Guess what? I have to call up my friend. Hey, can you come over? I need to jump my car. He rushes over, need to jump the car, sweaty, dirty, in a rush to get to the exam center to take the exam. Was I ready? Was I prepared? Was I focused for that exam when I got there? Definitely not. So life gets in the way. Make sure that you're prepared for the unexpected. Number 7, cockiness and overconfidence. Most people don't even have the discipline and the work ethic to even get to the point of sitting for the CPA exam. So you're an elite group as it is, and you probably know that you're in an elite group. But guess what? The exam doesn't care who you are. You could be the CEO of a company, or you could be sleeping in your car at night eating ramen. The exam treats everybody the exact same way. So get over yourself, put your ego aside, because the CPA exam will humble you very quickly. So a couple of 74s on the exam, failing the exam, then you have to pay $200 every time you want to retake that exam. That's no fun, and nobody wants to go through that. So don't go in there cocky and overconfident that you're going to pass this thing because you might be in for a reality check. Number 8, this don't be afraid to ask for help. The CPA exam can feel like a lonely solo journey up a never-ending mountain. But you don't need to go at this alone. Your friends and family, they probably will not understand the magnitude or the difficulty of what you're trying to accomplish. And if you're lucky, the most that you'll get is you can do it. Try harder next time, but with no real practical advice on how to do that. And it's not their fault. They probably can't relate. They've never been through this. So that's why if you're struggling, you need to reach out to a professional, maybe somebody like me. I've helped hundreds of students. Some students need a kick in the butt, others need to be walked off a ledge. We all have different personalities, so I specifically tailor my study plan to the type of person that I'm working with to help guide that person on their CPA journey. I do email responses, video responses, one on one consultations. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can visit me at breezycpa.com, go to the tutoring section, fill out the contact form, and you can get in touch with me. Number 9, always aim for 100% on the exam. If you aim for 100% on the exam, you'll be ready for anything that comes your way. It doesn't matter if you pass with a 75 or a 99, but why barely try and squeak by when you've already put in so much work to get to where you are? So make sure that you put in the full effort when you're studying for your exams. Try to get 100% when you're sitting for the exam. If you get a 75, that's great. You still passed. If you get a 99, that's great. You pass and you feel wonderful about yourself for having given the full effort. That's it for this video. Hopefully you learned some things. I wish you all the best of luck on your journey to becoming a CPA, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.